Yeah. You know what? I think it's different with every young player. I think they're both equally tough to adjust to. I mean, you know, you're playing all of a sudden with men physically. That's always a hard adjustment. Puck battles, you know, fighting for space, creating room for yourself. You know, all of a sudden you're going up against 225-pound defensemen, and not just one guy on the other team, but 5 or 6 of them. So that's always tough. I think mentally the grind of an NHL season is always tough on young players, and you know, Wyatt's had his moments, but they've been really few and far between where he mentally has kind of hit the wall because of the grind of the travel and you know, the importance of the games every night, and you know, so I mean that's always an adjustment for young players, and you know, I think he's handled both exceptionally well. You know,
with the physical aspect of it, his stature and size
yeah.
isn't as big. What allows him to
Yeah.
adjust to the physical side?
Well, he's ultra competitive, so you know you'll see him in a stick battle, and you know, he could be outweighed by 20, 25 pounds, but he's hard and he's heavy and he's competitive. He's willing to stick his nose in there and win those. So it's more the fight of the dog than the size of the dog. You know, I think he's got that. And what was the other part you asked me? Yeah. I mean, I think that's what allows him to do it. He also has a great intelligence to him too, where you know he puts himself in the right positions body wise on the ice, that he's not going to get exposed because of a size battle, and that's just in, you know, hockey IQ.
One thing on that, just you said in December you put him on the penalty kill to increase his role and stuff like that. Were you nervous as a coach at all, because the rookie wall usually hits around January, February-ish? Like, were you nervous?
Yeah, honestly, I was waiting for that to hit, you know, at the 10-game mark, 20-game mark, halfway through the season. You know, it just never happened. I mean, he had a handful of off nights where, you know, his energy levels were a little bit low, but very few and far between, and nothing extended. He always fought his way back out of it really quickly. That's been the most impressive part.
And what about him being able to pick up things mid-season? He wasn't on the penalty kill to begin the year, but then for him to pick that up like that.
Yeah, you know, again, special hockey mind. You know, he just gets it. I mean, I think I told you guys earlier in the season, like, you know, we've done very little individual video with him, you know, because he always seems like he's put himself in the right spot on the ice and the right spot within our system. So, you know, that's just, you know, he's special that way.
Sticking with Wyatt and the mental grind.
Yeah.
Can you quantify the Pavelski factor at all? Because 19-year-olds don't get that kind of security blanket in their whole life.
Yeah, I think it's been invaluable, and I've said all along, I think Wyatt will look back 10 years from now and realize how valuable, you know, living with Joe was, and the daily feedback and the daily conversations. You know, I just think it's been invaluable, and you know, I think he'll recognize that down the road. I think he does now, but I think he'll really recognize it down the road.
Do you funnel any messages through Joe as opposed to going direct?
I don't have to, honestly. Joe could do my job and his job. Like he's if I'm thinking of it, Joe's already thought about it. Let's put it that way. So you know, that's just Joe.
We've talked a lot this year about Tyler and Jamie having different roles and accepting play a little bit less minutes. Talk about how the cumulative effect of all that kind of pays off now, and just you've seen them take these roles and what you've seen of them.
Yeah. Well, I think you've seen the effect of it with the season we've had, directly on our standings, directly on our scoring, directly on the consistency, I think, of their seasons. You know, there was no drop off the second half because of fatigue or you know, things like that. And the way we want to play, we're not a passive stand around team, so you're expending a lot of energy to play the way we want to play. And I think that's benefited our team game too, because they have that energy to do that.
Along those lines, as a coach, what's the ego management like with guys? I mean, I think these guys are top 1% of what they do. Some are
Yeah.
making $8-9 million, and you ask them to take reduced roles and things like that.
Actually, I think 10, 11, aren't they? Who's counting?
But as a coach, how do you manage all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. You know what? You just, for me, it's when you come into a situation, you coach. You don't look at the salary or the ego or what they've done. You coach them like you would want to be coached, like you coach everybody. And the teams you have a chance to win with, those guys accept that coaching. They want that coaching. They're willing to buy into that. And in the places I've been where those key guys have pushed back, you're usually not winning.
Pete, I know you've been back to Vegas this year.
Yeah.
But Friday night, can you kind of express what you think the emotions will be like for you to be back in a series like this?
Yeah.
In that building?
Yeah, well, there's no hiding from the emotions. It's still it's still fairly fresh, but we've had 3 games against them. We've been back there before. I really think for me, I've kind of put it in the rear view mirror. I've kind of been through the heavy and hard stuff probably the first time back there. And now, we're ingrained in this group, and we've got one singular focus, and that's to win this series.
With Brian Suter,
Yeah.
with Brian Suter, I know we're only halfway to the goal, but I
Yeah.
think this is the first time he's been to the conference final in his career. And
Yeah.
what it means for him to get here, and what has he meant for you guys?
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that Ryan and I have talked about really since the beginning of the season. Is this is the goal, and he's another guy that's checked his ego, taken less, both on the power play and in minutes played, in order to move our group forward and to have this opportunity. And this is what we talked about at the beginning of the season. We're going to ask you to do this with the goal that we're going to give you a chance to have a deep run and potentially win a Stanley Cup for the first time in your career. And we've got a group of guys in that room, Jamie Benn, Pav, Ryan Suter, that have done everything but that. And so he's been great that way.
And then Cassidy was comparing Rupe to Connor McDavid, saying he's the best that's left.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you kind of speak to the leap he has taken compared to what you thought when you took the job?
Yeah.
And what he's doing right now?
Well, I knew he was a really good player, and he did what I thought he would do during the regular season. But to do it in the playoffs is a whole different world for young players, and you see it all around the league. You guys write about it more than anyone. There's a guy on every team, a young player that produced all year, or was a star and expected to carry a team, and then in the playoffs get shut down. So, for him to be able to carry over his game and be equally as effective or more effective even at this time of year, for me is a giant statement for a young player.
Going back to Wyatt for a quick second, how has he performed this year relative to just your expectations for such a young guy?
Well, I had no expectations. I haven't had a player that young step into the lineup and contribute at this level in my 15 years in the league. Really not anyone even close to being ready to do that. So, my expectations were small. It was, let's give him a look and set him up to try and have success in training camp and see how long it lasts. And, he took that, and, here we are today.
They are even better at blocking shots than Seattle was. What's the challenge for you?
Yeah.
What did you learn from Seattle? Does that help?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's always things you can learn, and we're well aware of that, and that's something, every team you come across has different strengths and weaknesses and things you have to deal with, and that's something that's definitely on their identity list that we'll have to deal with.
Then point to a guy like Robertson who
Yeah.
has a way of getting his shot through, and it just seems
Yeah.
he's getting a lot blocked right now.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, he's getting a lot of extra attention too. So the reality is they're going to block shots. I mean, I don't have a magic plan that we're going to go out and all of a sudden they're not going to block a bunch of shots next game. But you know, we've got to find a way to get enough through to win games.
It seemed like the first period in Game 7, it didn't affect you mentally, because it can't.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
you
it can.
walk through it.
Yeah, I don't think it did. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that Game 7 we played against Seattle will translate to anybody we play the rest of the way here.
With, sorry, one
Yeah.
more off topic, sorry.
Yeah.
Brent Burns.
Yeah.
What did it mean for you to have him and what he meant to you in San Jose and
Yeah.
what do you think of what he's doing now?
Yeah, I loved him. I love the player. I love the person. You know, I thought it was a great ad for Carolina when they got him, and he's done. I'm not at all surprised by what he's done there. So, you know, we've still got a little bit of a group chat. Joe Thornton, Brent Burns, some of the guys from that team that you know we'll trade some barbs every once in a while. But that was a special group of guys, and you know, I think. I mean, the guys in San Jose, they're still playing Couture and Hurdle and some of those guys, but the older group of guys there was special. Jumbo's retired, but Burnsy and Pav are still going strong.